Hey everyone, welcome back to Eye Opener Society. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in into now episode 102. We've got a whole new concept, we have all new ideas. We're flowing so well, and I'm really excited to start bringing these podcasts out to you. Quick little note, we're trying to get video to the forefront, even though I refuse to go all graphic crazy and all, but I know everybody wants to look at us now. So you can find us on YouTube. We have every episode we've ever done on there. All right. Some have video and some do not. So there's an audio and there's a video of both. I also just launched BitChute. So we could be found on BitChute now too as well. So if you go on BitChute and just search Eye Opener Society as all one word, you'll find us there too as well. I'm going to try and find some new avenues as well to get the videos put up there too. So here's the cool thing about Eye Opener Society as we keep evolving and moving. I've evolved with a brand new co host. We've all met her on episode 101, Lizzie, who's been completely amazing. Lizzie shares so much of my ideas and my vision of Eye Opener Society. But what's great about it, she's helping me actually find that direction to get it in. And she's actually motivating me to do it. And that's what's exciting to me. So, welcome back, Lizzie. Lizzie, how are you doing?
Thank you. Just having a grand old time with life right now. I was telling you, I was kind of having a little bit of an existential crisis this weekend as I kind of reformatted my ideas with everything. And now I don't know, just excited to figure out how to share them today.
Yeah, and we're gonna get through it. We all go through these little crisis, and I was kind of concerned. I seen the video, and I looked at your face, and I said, "You're really scared about something." At least that was my perception, you know. But I was like, "Oh, do you need help?" So, do you want to go through a little bit of it and let people know
Okay.
what's going on?
So first, existential crisis sounds pretty dramatic. I'm a little bit of a dramatic person, I just take things very deep. But when you go through like shadow work and deconstructing yourself a lot, at some point you just kind of get comfortable with having your identity shaken. It's almost kind of the point, which is kind of leading me into what I wanted to talk about today with like my ideas on reality, because that's kind of what happened was I took I took it to like a different perspective, which in a weird paradox in which there's no way I can possibly explain this. It simultaneously affirmed everything I had done in the last 6 years, but also undid it in a weird way that made it also more accurate.
Well, listen, that's great, and or at least the crazy thing about reality, it's so hard to explain. It really is. But I mean, we all live through it. And the thing is, like me, I practice mindfulness. So here I am in the moment, and that's all I'm concerned about. But I think you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are in multi dimensions all at one time. And I find it amazing. I find it beautiful, actually. So, what are your thoughts now on reality? I mean, what did you learn from this crisis?
So this is a little bit of what I'm learning. I'm learning that I'm really good at seeing all of the many layers, still learning to bring it down into the 3D, which is where good at with the mindfulness. I can't be mindful. If I'm washing the dishes, I'm also thinking about like 42 different things. And which makes writing protocols and stuff like a whole lot of fun because I can see a lot of different angles. I could connect a lot of dots for people, and that's been a really fun thing. But I've really struggled on trying to write one that's like accurate because anytime I create anything, it creates more boundaries for other people. And so I kept circling around this for a long time. And so my existential crisis was kind of because I understood on a really deep level that we truly do create our own reality. And I know you hear that all the time in like your perception. And, if you're thinking about a red car, you'll see a red car. And I sound a little crazy here, but you create the red car. There are there are so many dimensions to us as people the earth as a planet, reality as itself, like our histories, all of this like overlap in this really weird way that this is part of my struggle in trying to figure out how to articulate it, because any way I say it is going to put off as many people as I as are going to understand it. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody creates their own reality, when you hear something, your brain, based on your past experiences, decides in that moment if it's part of your reality or not, and you attach to or unattach from that reality based on your decisions. But because we're all set up in this life where this world is so limited, even though we're an unlimited being, we create all these self limits for ourselves. And so we're creating the red car because we're think that there's going to be like a red car there. And so it's like a weird circle of figuring out what rules you have without circling that too much. And it's I'm just trying to figure out how to actually like put this down into the real world. Do you know what I mean? I hope
Well,
that made even a little bit of sense.
yeah, it does. Listen, I know I've done an episode probably a year ago or so, painting your own picture where just what we think is what we're producing. We're just, we're on a stage. The world is a stage. There's nothing there. You create the script and you write what you want to write. And so, yeah, when you're thinking about that red car, you're painting that, you're drawing that script out. What you're saying makes sense. I can see, though, why it brings you into a crisis. Because when you're sitting there really trying to figure it out outside of the mindfulness and you're incorporating all these different levels in there, yeah, you're going to question the reality about it, right?
Yes. Yes, especially when you're trying to take it from a multi-dimensional perspective. And I swear at some point I'm gonna have this articulated in a way that's gonna make sense. But so for now, something to think about is while you're sitting here, like doing the podcast, your body's just sitting there, you're listening. So that's your 3D self. But at the same time, your 4D self is deciding what I'm saying is accurate or not. Your 5D self is opening up more possibilities based on all of this. Your 6D self is assessing all of your like energetic coding of what's going on, which plays into your beliefs and all of that. And then there's like the part of you, which is what I've been talking a lot about, like the 6 and the 8D like versions of you. So your 8D self, while you're sitting there, this same part of you is also deciding where you go from here. And so when your 4D self decides something's true, your 8D self aligns timelines and realities with what you just decided. And so even though you're simply just sitting there, you're going through multiple different reality options at any given moment.
And that makes sense. It's exactly what I believe because, yeah, I believe we're alive in all different dimensions. And there's an outcome for each and every one of those dimensions. So if you're making a decision right now, there's multiple decisions being made on each and every dimension. So the outcome is going to be based upon whatever that universe is bringing. And I still don't understand as far as how the outcome is created. So maybe that's where my crisis is. But yeah, because like I say, hey, I want chocolate ice cream. Your decision is based on that, and you're going to get chocolate ice cream. But in another dimension, you're getting strawberry. In another one, you're getting vanilla. So again, where does that actual outcome stem from? That's the question.
And here's my problem, because I have an answer for you, but it is in so many different layers. I don't know how to deliver it to you. Um, Realistically, I'm coming to the understanding, which I just got, I sound like a crazy person. Time, we're okay, everybody's kind of acknowledging this idea that time is nonlinear, right? But time, as to what I'm understanding now, just really doesn't exist. It all happens right now. And so what you're doing right this exact moment is in the same time. as your entire lifespan and all your future lives and all your past lives, and all of it happens in one little instant of a flash. And so when you're making decisions, you're altering everything. And so history, almost from an energetic 13D dimension perspective, doesn't exist. You decide your history based on the story you write. And it's also based on what we collectively write. Until you decide that what's collectively written is different, like you don't apply to that. And somehow you've got to get through all the filters and the connections and the, I guess you could describe them like energy threads that pull you into what you've limited yourself because you're in this limiting world. And that's kind of where I started going into describing it like a game, is because you're undoing things that are true, but you're making true things untrue to change your reality,
Okay.
which
No.
is crazy.
I mean, listen, it may be crazy to some people who just don't understand it, but to like you and I, makes complete and total sense. It really does. We are existing in only one moment, but all the dimensions, like you're saying, it's not linear. It's all occurring all at one time. I spoke about this many times. I say, you got the timeline, it's just a straight line, but take that line away. Everything happened already and hasn't happened all at the same time.
Yes, yes, I'm glad you can articulate that so simply for me. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, exactly. It's time without the timeline. Just take that away and everything kind of just condenses into one reality. So
Yeah,
you've already lived, you've already died, you're already being born, and it's all happening all in one particular moment.
yes, and that's an amazing way to describe it on maybe like three of the dimensions. But then as you like change it, it kind of just gets super entangled, you
Hmm.
know? And so I'm kind of playing with a little bit here. But essentially, what I'm realizing were happening is because of all the limitations, instead of this like spiral of growth and evolving into new quote worlds or realities or versions of yourself, or however you want to look at it, we loop into the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's hard because shadow work, like looking at yourself and deconstructing your ideas and your beliefs, simultaneously pulls you out of the loop, but is also in of itself a loop. And so
Okay.
you can loop that forever and never and never, trying to heal yourself into a whole person, because you are a whole person. That's not the point. All you've got to do is figure out what story you so far written on autopilot before you realized you were an unlimited being that had opportunities. Because the world didn't tell you that. Because if they did, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. You'd be happy, with what you've got going. So if you're here, you were on autopilot, you wrote stories you don't agree with, and now you've got to decide what those are and not what is true, because they're all true. You've seen those realities, you've experienced them, you felt the pain, you felt the heartache, they're real. Do they apply to the world you're building? Is that part of the new story? And so at some point, you have to go from deconstructing your story to moving on. What is your new story? What parts of it are you going to build from? You don't have to carry that forever, you know?
Gotcha. And this is good because, yeah, I think a lot of people are always trying to move on. We're all looking for that new, bigger, better thing. That's what we're looking for. And yeah, but in order to do that, you're right. We have to deconstruct that old way of living in order to move forward and become that new person. So again, you are making sense, or at least I'm getting good sense, from this. But you have to really sit there and figure it out. But you don't have to figure it out alone because Lizzie here has a whole program on this, and you can always reach out to her and she'll work with you.
And I swear, when I'm working individually with like your life and what you're doing, I make far more sense than when I'm trying to speak on a broad term of things.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's more specific then. I mean, you're trying to give that broader sense of everything and trying to make sense of it all at once. And it's not a problem. It's coming through at least clear to me. But yeah, if you out there in the audience would like to work with Lizzie, how did they get in touch with you, Lizzie?
Uh, email is probably the best, just energy dot by dot Lizzie at Gmail.
Yeah, reach out to her and you set up appointments and you do some great work. And that's what's so appreciative. And know what else is appreciative? You guys, the audience, thank you so very much for tuning into this episode, episode 102. I promise you, there's going to be so much more cool, fun stuff that's going to be going on. We have this whole new energy going here with Lizzie, and I guarantee you, you're going to enjoy it. And again, don't forget, we're on Podbean. We're on every single platform, but also if you want to see the videos, again, they're not graphically enhanced. It's just us. We can be found on YouTube, and we can now also be found on BitChute. So go on BitChute and just search Eye Opener Society, all one word. I have no idea about it yet, but it's just another platform that I like to put on because it's not mainstream and there's no censorship. Because I just noticed I started to get censored on YouTube, obviously, because it's just mainstream. So I'm trying to avoid that. So definitely reach out to us. But again, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in with us. I want to thank everybody again, and you'll see us on the next episode. Thanks again, Lizzie.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me while I formulate my chaos into order.
Good job, buddy. We'll see everybody soon.